Chapter 5, Vomit Full of Books and Papers. Vomit full of books and papers. To the miasma expunged from Centurion DuPage's crystal ball and the myriad horrors emerging within it, Sage Reese flung her arm and said, "You can't do that! You can't do that!" She did it. San Bernardino tapped the enchanted shovel against her upturned soul. Wraiths are a magical girl's natural foe, no? I fail to see the problem. Then she shoved the spade into the dirt and vaulted into the field of monstrosities before Sage could scream for her to not do that. Nonetheless she screamed it anyway. Get back, damn it! We, obviously, need to retreat. Retreat, everyone retreat! Nobody listened. 7 girls from St. Louis, 1 from San Bernardino, and 2 from Denver, herself included, a claw with no body burst out the ground and gored somebody. Several others ran screaming in stupid directions. The lead girl in St. Louis, whom one might hope to showcase a shred of authority and rally her lesser associates, howled a warlock cry and hurled herself into the fray much as San Bernardino had. Sage pulled her hair but had to stop and catch her glasses when they slid off her nose. She festered as the wraiths clustered. This is unrealistic. Shouldn't even be thermodynamically feasible. Oh, it's dangerous, isn't it? The other girl Sage brought from Denver, named Aurora, tugged her sleeve. Did you want us to flee? Aurora, barely 12, and the obnoxious golden curls that teemed down her body drove Sage to frenzy, despite her knowing perfectly well the irrationality of that frenzy. That's what I already said. Is it? Oh. Aurora wound a long string of hair around her finger and gnawed it like spaghetti. I don't think people can hear you. Miasma, you know. Phuck. Miasma's distorted sound. Sage tossed up her arms. Forgive her for refusing to believe in a miasma that defied all logic. 5 years running magnet, hundreds, thousands of magical girls she had met, not one with such a plaintively ridiculous power. Hey everyone, said Aurora telepathically, Denver wants us to run. So let's do that, okay? 2 nearby St. Louis girls received the communiqué. The other 5 were no longer in sight. Sage had stupidly ordered everyone to spread out in case of an area of effect attack. She jabbed her arm overhead to indicate the riverbank. The St. Louis girls, whose names she forgot, or she remembered the names, she did not remember the faces, blinked and only shuffled closer to Sage. Since nobody had the brain to do a thing unless she did it first, she led by example and dashed across the knoll toward their parked rental minivans. DuPage's miasma spread to the river and cascaded into it with billowy smoke puffs. What kind of reach did her power have? However, because the miasma began near DuPage, wraiths had less time to spawn farther from her, and only started to emerge as liquid heads from the mist near the cars. Once Aurora and the St. Louis girls got moving, Sage dipped behind them and faced the swarming horde at their back. All right. Ha! Hadn't fought anything of this caliber in a minute. Still, no need to go all out yet. Sage clapped one hand atop the other and held them out crisscross. The star-shaped emerald set in the palm of her long white glove broadcast a dazzling array of light. Out her gem emerged her powerful star rod, 12 inches of candy cane hilt bedecked with a glorious 5-pointed star, razor sharp. As soon as the last of it left her gem, she caught it in her other hand and held it aloft. This cosmic effervescence shall illuminate the heavens and guide mankind on their inexorable journey to the stars. Phase 1, activate. Rainbow glimmers manifested across her body and formed into armor, bracers for her wrists, plates above her shins, a thick belt around her midriff. Her glasses morphed into a solid sheet of visor, and an array of bogus Starfleet medals jingled down her chest. She posed, it was necessary. As a glint of light flashed at her back and caused everything to twinkle. With that crap out of the way, she brought down her star rod, and the skies opened to cascade 5 fiery comets upon her foes. Her comets did not move particularly fast, they fell slower than the speed of gravity to, she assumed, simulate the suspended descents of atmospheric objects to naked eye observers, and they also made an obnoxious wetto noise. None of that mattered too much, because they covered a massive swath of terrain. Fireworks burst everywhere, sparks flung up in torrential sheets and shifted color mid-flight. Wraiths like the Buddhist monks they imitated were immolated, their forms and faces elongated until their outlines broke apart and nothing remained. The 2 St. Louis girls clutched the handle of a minivan's sliding door and shouted for her to open it. Tucking the star rod under her armpit, she fished her costume for the keys and clicked the button. The minivan chirruped, and the St. Louis girls tried to force the door open even though it was an automatic door and eased open along its track, no matter the force applied. By the time it was a quarter open, they squeezed in one after another and fought with it in a similar manner to close. Sage had 1 foot through the open driver's door when she remembered someone.
Aurora, where the hell are you?
At the bank of the Mississippi River, Aurora regarded the water and the distant bridge that blinked with lights. She turned to Sage and shrugged.
Oh. I thought I saw something in the water. Nobody cares, get in.
Aurora moseyed on over cowpoke style. One of the St. Louis girls said,
What about everyone else?
They had descended a slight incline, so it was impossible to see where they came from or if anyone were even alive up there. Sage cut her teeth together and tilted her head.
Don't worry. Just a strategic retreat. We'll come back with the situation reassessed.
6 girls lost. Finally Aurora got in the passenger side and buckled her seatbelt, and the back seat girls said go go go. A wall of wraiths came at them as the minivan lurched forward, lurched backward, lazed around an arduous semicircle to aim the right direction. The minivan handled unlike her car back home, and she fiddled with knobs and levers and made it several feet before a skrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr glasses into her face and howled for her to hurry up. The back window broke and the wailing undying racket blistered Sage's eardrums until she whipped her wand over her shoulder and shot a sparkly star to blast the ghouls away.
"You three are magical girls too," she said. "Keep them off while I—"
Mid-sentence she turned her head around to see where she was going, and where she was going was directly into a gargantuan tentacle that crashed onto and obliterated the hood. The minivan jolted and Sage's face slammed against the steering wheel and her blood flashed everywhere. One of the St. Louis girls flipped between the seats and out the shattered windshield and onto what remained of the hood as the tentacle reeled them toward the Mississippi River. The St. Louis girl thrashed against shattered glass as her lower body got sucked beneath the coiling tentacle into the mess of metal that was the engine. Sage seized her flailing hand and pulled until a wretched face disappeared amid the wreckage and the arm gave a limp shudder. The vehicle twisted and tipped onto its side into the ruddy banks. Water whipped around them and gave Sage a lungful. She floundered in the constricted space, but her body had somehow fused to the steering wheel. In these moments one must maintain clarity. The front of the vehicle was nothing anymore. That left two exits, the back and the passenger side now being the ceiling. Sage gripped Aurora's seat that at some point became devoid of Aurora and tried to hoist herself. But, her fucking foot. The car slid deeper, the water rose to her hips and then her chest. She reached up and could even cut her palm on the shards that remained of the passenger window, if only her foot. A shadow fell on her. Water droplets trickled onto her face. A second tentacle loomed above. The tentacle came down. She had less than a second to act, her wand stuck in the dashboard by the point of its star. She ripped it out and brought it down to cut off her foot, but her elbow hit one of the million random things that clog a car and bounced in a different direction. At the same time, the first tentacle lurched the car into open water and the second tentacle crashed down on the back half of the car. Because of the mismatched action between the two tentacles, she did not become pulp instantaneously, but her star rod ricocheted into the soft flesh of her throat and cleaved off her head. All senses except a vague touch blacked out. Sight, sound, etc. She perceived only the thump of her head falling backward and tearing whatever loose cord of skin kept it connected to her body, then the slosh of water as it submerged her. The twisting, bending, screeching, ripping metal went silent. The undulating underwater whale roar of whatever monster gripped the car went silent. The miasmas and tijoy malaise remained. It became the only thing she felt as she and the car sank into the Mississippi River, with no further priorities for escape or survival. In her husk of a lich body she had time to think. Aurora. Not the Aurora she had now. That young ditz, she had only existed for less than a week. Sage barely knew her, had in fact only recruited her, or brought her to St. Louis, while she left her other girls safe back home, because her particular power could overcome invulnerability. Strictly business Aurora. But there was another Aurora, older, more composed, stable and certain, quiet and dark, who spoke rarely but made utmost use of the words she spoke, an Aurora who had existed until a week prior, an Aurora whose name Sage liked to whisper, that sensuous name that purred in a throat under the covers of a wave-motion quilt in a darkness similar to the one that swallowed her now, except their darkness had a sound and the sound was her whisper. Aurora. Dead, 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 dead. She only needed a way to escape the bathroom in which she locked herself. 2 full days after Collins called with the words "Aurora is dead," so she could watch her soul gem darken on the closed lid of the toilet smidge by smidge. But not as fast as she liked. Until Collins knocked with the words "Minneapolis is dead maybe," and she stood up and opened the door. Aurora. Oh, there you are. Got so wound up you lost your head, ha. Wrong one. From now on, it would always be the wrong Aurora. Sage said nothing as a pair of chubby arms wound under her shoulders and heaved her body upward. Even without a head she could probably communicate telepathically, since despite the prefix that function was rooted in the soul and not the brain, but she had nothing to say. Her body lifted until it surfaced and the dingy swamp water oozed off her. Aurora busied around her body and hummed telepathically. Minutes passed. They didn't seem to be attacked by new wraiths or the tentacle abomination, but Sage had no head. So who knew? The holy war continued. Like a light bulb screwed into a socket when the switch is on, sight returned the instant Aurora flopped her head back on her body. They floated in the center of the river on a disk of ice that bobbed and rocked. Sage, controlling her limbs again, touched her fingers to her neck and discovered a thick choker of ice that affixed her severed head to her stump. She could not turn her head without shifting her entire upper body.
Sorry,
Aurora said.
I don't have healing magic. But I can piece Humpty Dumpty back together in a pinch, heh.
Sage blinked and rubbed her eyes. She noticed her star rod embedded in the ice and pulled it out.
The St. Louis girls. Oh, I couldn't.
Her voice trailed and her smile dwindled. She coiled a thick lock of hair around her wrist and bit into it. They floated midway between one bank and the other. Sage thought at least the river would stop DuPage's miasma, but it only slowed it. 5 minutes and they'd need to move. Ridiculous.
Is it the first time you've seen someone die?
Sage asked.
I know it can be hard. No. Not the first. Don't worry about it, boss. I'm okay.
But she turned and didn't show her face. They remained in silence, Sage sitting, Aurora standing, some seconds. Then Sage fished her phone out her pocket. When she pressed the button it did nothing.
I can fix that.
Aurora snatched Sage's phone and licked its back with a drawn-out slurping noise. Water burst from the device's every crevice and smacked against the ice. Then Aurora slapped her palm against it and a flash of porcelain sheeting enveloped it.
I enchanted it, so now it'll be waterproof. I think.
Sage inspected the phone. The magic coating did not inhibit her from fiddling with the screen. When she tapped it again it functioned as normal.
Who you calling? Collins. Oh.
After the old Aurora died, Collins became the most senior member of the Denver crew and Sage's de facto lieutenant. Unfortunately, despite the high amount of skill Collins exhibited, she lacked punctuality and punctiliousness, attributes Sage required. Especially since she needed Collins to shoulder some of the burden of running Magnet. Sage left her in Denver with everyone else to ensure the city staved off despair in her absence. Andorra. She hated to admit it, but she also left her behind because she didn't want her friends to have happened to them what happened to the St. Louis girls.
Collins. How's it Sage my mage, kicking Chicago's collective ass yet?
The voice came through fuzzy but comprehensible. The voice itself less so, somehow simultaneously fluid jive and raspy smoker. What was she doing currently? In the house watching the football game? Was it football time? Collins wouldn't sit either way. She'd pace behind the couch, occasionally clap her hands onto the back cushion, rub them together with the phone pressed between shoulder and jawbone.
Things went wrong. Aurora and I are fine, but we've lost a lot of girls. Oh holy wow, you need me to come down there or what? Hey? Take a few hours, but anything you need boss, I'm right here for you, yeah. Please listen. Centurion DuPage's power is to create a wraith miasma. It's already consumed part of the city and it's growing. Potentially, the entire human population of St. Louis is in danger.
Aurora spat a coil of hair from her teeth.
Oh, you're worried about the townspeople? I get it now.
Sage held a finger to shut her up. When lots of people talked at once it disoriented her. Collins said,
"That's really her power? Wow. I know, it makes no sense, thermodynamically shouldn't be possible. Thought magical girls spread hope and love? Isn't that it? Where's little rat Cubacai? You're getting lost here Collins, I need you to focus."
The miasma was spreading closer. Aurora pushed their ice floe away to buy more time.
Even if you came with every girl in Denver, I don't know if it could handle this threat. It's not even clear if killing DuPage would end it. The wraiths seem to operate on their own just like any other wraith. What we need here is an army, Yeah, I gotcha, an army. Look Collins. Very simple here, very simple instructions I am about to give you. I want you to remember them. If you don't think you can, get a paper and pen and write them down. Oh no, I got it, you can count on me. Collins. I know you. I know how your brain works. Get a paper and pen. Yeah, I got a paper, I got a pen. You don't have a fucking paper, Collins, you're standing there lying to me, get a fucking paper. Fine. Getting your paper, getting it right now, hear that?
A sound of a cabinet wrenched open.
Paper, pen, got it, what is it?
Sage exhaled a full deflation of her lungs.
Go on Magnet. Post a message that explains that Chicago has attacked St. Louis by unleashing a massive wraith miasma. Explain that I, Denver, am calling on any magical girl who doesn't want to see their own city suffer the same fate to come here and fight this outbreak. Tell them that they will also be rewarded with as many grief cubes as they can carry. Do you got that, Collins? Be sure to tell them me, Denver, said this. Got it, boss. Read it back to me. Magnet. Wraith miasma, St. Louis, calling on any magical girl. Grief cubes. I got it. Do this right now. Don't waste any time, don't wait for a commercial break in your football game. Oh no, it's no football right now. Now. I gotcha boss. Don't worry, I never let you down.
The fucking bitch to say those words to her after. No, Collins didn't mean it, it was Collins being her careless self and saying something because it was the thing that flowed off her tongue. Sage couldn't get mad at her, but Sage was fucking mad. Collins, who had been paired with Aurora when Aurora died, Collins who was the only one who could have helped her. Don't worry, I never let you down.
Thank you, Collins. Doing it right now. Reight now. Only be a jiffy. Talk to you in a few.
The call ended. Sage leaned back on the icy disc and tried to hold the scream in her lungs. Tried and succeeded. Sage had always found it easy to control herself if she only thought what she wanted to do. The problem was always wanting it.
PMMM.
Aurora had a particularly huge clump of hair in her mouth and it took Sage a few moments to realize she had put it there as a gag in response to Sage's previous signal to shut up. So Sage made another signal for her to unshut, which wasn't necessary because Aurora's gesticulations directed her eyes to her phone, which indicated one missed call minutes prior, during her chat with Collins. From San Bernardino. Pfft. Why not? Did Sage not seize the opportunity to lug along her crippled corpse because of her wealth of combat experience? Even incapable of transformation, the girl had a weasel-esque ability to evade death. One had to respect someone who survived 6 years, a magical girl. Even someone as unrespectable as San Bernardino. Everyone on Magnet knew, she killed people for money. And she held the entire selfie board hostage. One couldn't post a pic without a 5-paragraph essay that weighed the merits of their costume's composition and assigned it a score on a 1 to 10 rating scale. People clamored for a permanent ban all the time, even if she never broke any rules. That didn't mean Sage wanted to speak with the lunatic.
Good, you've made it out. Keep away from the miasma and reconvene with me. Where at they? This Denver.
The voice did not belong to San Bernardino. Gruffer and more frantic, strained through a worried whisper incongruous with San Bernardino's detached comportment.
My name is Lila. I'm trapped with Clown Muffle and A. First, don't indulge her with that idiotic name. Second, who are you? Lila.
This stupid girl knew what Sage was asking, so Sage didn't bother to reply. She let her cold silence dictate the conversation, and sure enough eventually Lila clarified.
I'm with Chicago, okay? But, I'm not a bad guy, I'm just a lackey, I just work for them, okay? DuPage left me to die, I just want out, okay?
San Bernardino meandered in the background.
No magical girl is a lackey. Your individuality strengthens you. Must you demean yourself? Look, we're stuck in a closet under the arch. Please, if you're there, please help us. This girl, this Clown Muffle, she's bonkers, she wants to just run out there, I had to beg for her phone to call you. Please, please, please.
In distasteful agreement with San Bernardino, Sage found this Lila rather pathetic. Nonetheless, the pathetic were those the strong had to protect. She had failed that already. She did have questions though. Cell phone signals fizzled in miasmas, although that could be explained with an enchantment that counteracted the miasma's effects. More pressing was the obvious suspicion that the whole charade was a trap. But San Bernardino's voice in the background failed to contradict her. If they had San Bernardino under duress, why not force her to make the call herself? It didn't matter either way. Sage at present had no way to reach them under the arch.
Lila, I'm sorry. I can't. We can though.
Said Aurora. Aurora? A statement of any certainty from her felt infeasible. Sage had to turn and look to make sure some entirely different magical girl hadn't snuck up on them. But only Aurora remained on the floating disc, which had drifted to the Illinois side of the river.
It's easy. With my power, it'll be easy to reach them.
Sage pressed her phone face down against her shoulder.
I know you're strong. I'm strong too. But you saw it. We can't fight our way through numbers like that. My comets fall too slow, it'll never work. Not too many of them could fly, I don't think.
Her finger wound her hair, unwound it. Wound, unwound.
You can't fly either.
Aurora stuck out a tiny pink tongue up and waggled it with inhuman dexterity. She swept her foot through the water and kicked up a significant spray that crystallized into ice before it splashed back into the river. The ice extended, upward and forward, further and further, until it formed a bridge across half the river, then the entire river, then onward until it drove so deep into the miasma Sage no longer saw its end. Aurora said nothing but bestowed a dull curtsy.
That doesn't change anything.
Sage ignored a tepid hello. That reverberated against her shoulder.
It's easily a trap. Centurion DuPage, lying in wait. Oh, true. Then we could fight her and beat her. And save the city. What are you guys mumbling about?
Tittered a muffled Lila.
You can't beat DuPage. Her arm is invulnerable.
Tell Sage more shit she already knew, yeah? She had sources in Chicago, it was how she knew to be in St. Louis ahead of time. She knew about the Empress's blessing. That's why she had Aurora. What mattered invulnerability if encased in solid ice? When Collins showed her the finalists for Aurora's position, Sage knew who she needed in one glance.
I dunno,
said Aurora.
This miasma's spreading. The whole city's in danger. Let's save it, yeah. Who's that?
Said an even more muffled San Bernardino, clown muffled, someone with a horrible sense of humor might say.
They're a friend. Oh, I like new friends.
This conversation had devolved past the point of Sage's control. Too many people talking at once, too many idiotic ideas to track. Her head simmered, the vague stuffiness that prophesied a migraine. Obviously, the best plan was to wait. Let Collins post the cry for help and wait for every opportunist in search of a grief cube treasure trove to stream into the city. No doubt in Sage's mind. That plan made the most rational sense. The miasma reached the riverbank. It spread up the sand and swept past her ankles into the industrial amalgam beyond. A decision, fight or flight, needed swift deciding. In an hour, how much of the city would be consumed? How many humans dropped into despair, bent towards suicide or else withered by instant illness? Thousands in the tenements. And who knew what spatial distortions DuPage's magic might introduce given time? One had to quash a miasma swift as possible. Martyrs make good flags. Aurora. End of chapter. Chapter end.